What's up, everybody? My name is Tucker. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Luka and the Dallas Mavericks. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like rating on it, and you can subscribe to the channel as well for more videos just like this one every single day. With those things said, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we've gotten some news over the last couple of days. It's a weird story because it's something that's happened in the past, but we've just gotten more details on it. And it's about Luka's position within the Mavericks and kind of his demeanor and his relationship with former Mavs head coach Rick Carlisle, what led to him leaving the team and ultimately becoming the coach of the Pacers this season. And there's some interesting dots here to connect. So basically the premise of this video is, let's talk about that report. Let's talk about the Mavs. Let's talk about Carlisle, both with the Mavs and now with the Pacers, and then really get into this discussion about, is Luka potentially a problem? He's not someone that we typically think of as like a diva or someone that is going to be requesting for a trade or really trying to influence personnel decisions. But maybe that's something that's starting to become a reality for them based off this report. So essentially what this news breaks down to is Luka didn't ask for Rick Carlisle to be removed as head coach of the Dallas Mavericks, but he was happy when he was no longer the head coach. And interestingly, the article points out that it wasn't necessarily how him and Carlisle interacted directly, but more so how Carlisle treated other players and treated other people. And apparently that was an issue that was persistent throughout the organization. It was not just a problem that Luka had with Carlisle, but one of the most alarming things about it was the fact that it led to pretty commonly Doncic pointing some negative remarks towards Carlisle during games while on the bench, whether it was when he gets subbed out, disagreeing with coaching decisions, things like that, just cursing out Carlisle on the bench, which is obviously a significant issue here. And I was kind of a defender of Carlisle from a basketball standpoint, where I felt like year after year, he found a way to get a team that really wasn't that good from a roster perspective to compete and to get to the postseason and to at least be relevant, going back to the days with Dirk where it was just Dirk and a lot of other guys, and now it's Luka and a lot of other guys. And there's obviously a lot of benefit to having that one superstar you can build everything around, but it's not like they were necessarily building super teams. Of course, he won the 2011 title, and I thought it was a significant downgrade. I still do think from a coaching and a basketball perspective, it was a downgrade to go from Carlisle to Jason Kidd, as the Mavs have, and the Mavs have not played particularly well to begin this season. And so this article and this news and this information informs this idea that maybe Luka is a bit more difficult to handle as the superstar of a team than we thought. And that also is related to how he begins every season. The Mavs, since Luka's been there, have typically been a slow starting team. And there's a variety of reasons for that. But the primary one we're going to talk about here is Luka dealing with some injury issues in the beginning of the year and just not being in fantastic basketball shape when he shows up to the Mavs. And there's a couple of different excuses and reasons that have been thrown out for that, whether it be his international commitments with the Slovenian national team. But the point is, Luka has never shown up to the beginning of an NBA season in fantastic shape, ready to go. And that has led to some injury issues in the beginning of the year and slow starts for the Mavs. All of that, his relationship with Carlisle, which I'm sure has some fault in. Obviously, Carlisle was not doing the correct things a lot of the time, and that's referenced in the article. But Luka certainly made some mistakes as well. And then this issue with him starting the season slow, all these things potentially point you in a direction of, is Luka potentially a problem in the long term for Dallas? Potentially in a way in which he could leave them, ask for a trade, or just create an environment that is not conducive to positivity, whether that be in relation to his relationship with Kristaps Porzingis and trying to make sure that they're on the same page, whether it be like you want Luka to be a guy that's fun to play with and a guy that draws in other players. And I'm not convinced that that's the case. But let's extend this Carlisle thing briefly here. It's interesting how he left of his own accord. He decided to leave. It was clear that his job status was very, very much in the air. He decides to leave Dallas, and then he goes to Indiana. And I thought that this Indiana team was going to be much better this year. It was a disaster of a coaching situation last year, and I thought Carlisle was a significant upgrade at that spot. However, similarly to some of the things that we now know about Dallas, there's a lot of players that are now unhappy in Indiana, which is very interesting now that Carlisle's there. Thinking about the fact that Miles Turner does not feel valued by the organization. Getting news today that Domantas Sabonis wants to leave. He wants out. He doesn't want to be there anymore. And I'm not saying that these things are directly related to Carlisle or that he's doing the exact same things in Indiana that he was reportedly in Dallas. It's just interesting that he gets there and all of a sudden everybody wants to leave. Now, again, last year was a disaster for Indiana, and these are guys in Turner and Sabonis that have been there for a couple years and might just be ready for a change of scenery. They're ready to go somewhere else, potentially compete, be a real legitimate top tier playoff team. And I think those are desires that are shared by them as well as a lot of other players across the league. But it's interesting as it relates directly to this Dallas team. Now, this season for Dallas, obviously undergoing a coaching change, they bring in Jason Kidd, and I struggle to see how this team is supposed to reach like a championship caliber ceiling with this roster or really moving forward. I mean, you can't really ask Luka to be much better than he is. You can ask him to be more available and have more endurance and be in better shape. But from a performance standpoint and from a statistical impact on winning standpoint, apart from him competing more defensively, you really can't ask the guy to do much more than he is. And they're still just not a very good basketball team. They've made some attempts to help KP feel more involved offensively. And I think that's helped him in some ways, helped his happiness, helped his confidence. But he's still not, the guy you need to be kind of the second best player on a championship caliber team. They don't have other pieces that are particularly interesting when it comes to a trade. And it's not a disaster of a scenario, but I don't think that anything there is a long-term solution. I don't think Jason Kidd is a long-term solution as head coach of the Mavs. I don't think that moving on from Carlisle is going to fix some of the issues that Luka brings to the team. And I love Luka. I'm one of Luka's biggest fans. I thought he should have been the first pick of the draft when he came in, but it's clear that he's by no means a perfect behind-the-scenes guy like it seems like someone like Giannis has been, quite frankly, for Milwaukee. I don't think that their roster is a long-term solution to them potentially competing for a title. And I say all this to say that ultimately this story and the situation around Dallas and what we know about this team and this organization potentially points us to a scenario in which Luka is not long for the team. And I'm not saying that he's going to leave next year or the year after that, or that he's going to request a trade within the next 2 years. But I am saying that this could be something we've typically seen throughout the league's history, where a guy's really good and he goes somewhere where initially it seems like a good fit. They give him everything. They give him the keys to the car and immediately, and he's there for 7-8 years, and then he goes somewhere else, and he goes to a place that allows him to compete for a title in a way that initial team never would have been able to, and provides him more opportunities in a variety of different ways outside of basketball that initial team would not have been able to. And it's a really, really strange situation, because from the minute Luka showed up and it was clear that he was an incredible player, he was on this crazy, crazy high trajectory. And to accomplish what he has accomplished at such a young age is incredible. But it hasn't directly related to the success of the organization as a whole, not just on the basketball court, not just the fact they're not winning playoff series, because, the rest of the roster obviously has a lot to do with that as well. But you would like to see more stability from the organization. You would like to see more cohesiveness. You'd like to see an organization that feels like has a clear path moving forward in a clear direction, and everybody's kind of on the same page and just happy. Once you do the thing that is the most difficult thing to do in the NBA, and that is acquire the main superstar guy. The Mavs did that, yet they are not particularly close to competing for a conference finals spot the way that you would hope that they would be within the first couple of years that they did end up with Luka, with how good Luka's been. Now, granted, the guy's barely finished his rookie contract, right? There's still years and years and years left of Luka in Dallas. But there are these turning point things that we can look at throughout the history of the league in terms of like, this is when things started to turn south for LeBron in Cleveland, or this is when things started to go a little bit weird for Shaq in Orlando. And I'm not saying that's the situation we're heading towards here for Luka. I just want to point out that, yes, a lot of the story is about Carlisle, and he did a lot of things incorrectly, absolutely. But I don't think that Luka is blameless, not only in that situation, but also in the, for lack of a better term, vibe of this Dallas situation moving forward, with them as basically a 500 team and one without a true ceiling. The hope would be that some maturity would come through here and that he will find a way to prepare himself better for the beginning of the season, and create a situation that is more conducive to positivity and, quite frankly, not be as much of a diva. And hopefully that leads to championship contention within the next 5 years for Dallas. However, this is the warning here. If things continue on the path that they have for Luka so far to begin his season, not from a basketball standpoint, but from his demeanor, from his personality, things like that, we could be looking at a situation where Dallas is not the long-term spot for Luka Doncic. But that is going to be the end of today's video. And I thank you guys very much for watching. Once again, my name is Tucker. If you missed any of my previous videos, be sure to check out the boxes on screen. And yeah, hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day. And I will see you all next time.